And welcome back for episode 3. Today we have on good friend Ali, highly driven female, highly driven individual, very, very, very successful in the corporate world of Aldi and Holland & Barrett. But now she's taken the choice and she wants to transition over into the business world of being self-employed. Let's have a listen. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just say, welcome to the D1 podcast. Do your own introduction. That's how much I trust you.
Oh, thanks. This is nice. Firstly, see, this is a thing. I'm Ali G. Ross Willits. If you want to be,
You've got to give the full name.
that is it. Or Alison Joanne Ross Willits. Boom. Who is
Oh,
this?
so
Ali's,
hyphened
Alison. At the end. It's Alison. Yeah.
You do normally say that to you every time I see you now.
But you know what? That's why I was like, oh, he knows it's Ali. I'm going to give him my full name. Alison is my. It's what my father calls me.
Okay, but we will call you Ali.
I'd like you
Or
to.
we'll call you A-Dog.
AJ, A-Dog.
A-Dog. We'll call you A-Dog for the rest of it.
Do that.
Okay, and now just tell us what you do.
Well,
sorry, don't just tell us what you do. Tell us what you have done. Like, give us a brief overview of A-Dog.
So A-Dog is currently an online fitness and wellness, I guess, online coach, business owner. Auxilium Limited is a business I've set up. But rewind, 20 years. A-Dog was a uni student who did the first class do, got it done. And then A-Dog went the path that A-Dog was meant to go back then, because it wasn't about socials and being entrepreneurial. It was you went to school, you went uni. I'm Scottish, and that was a very clear path. And I did uni, and then I did corporate. I did start at the bottom, streets of Edinburgh, managing little shops. I went hustling into these grocery managers, getting my sweets on the shop floor. I worked for Nestle. And then from Nestle, graduated up to Aldi buying director. So I was looking after UK and Ireland, all the stores, all the product on the certain fixtures, which was mad to think. And then Holland & Barrett, director of trading. So I looked after the trading floor. Member in here used to work for me, good lad. And then came across some corporate BS. And it put a bit of a dampener on where I thought I was going to be and where I wanted to be. And actually where I thought I fitted. Questioned it. Met Mark, my husband. And decided that actually that wasn't really my passion. So I just pivoted and sacked it all off. And I wouldn't say I ran off. It was definitely a composed decision I made. But yeah, so A-Dog did what she thought she was meant to do and built to do and could fluently read business. And then A-Dog tapped out when I realised it was joyless and I was climbing for everybody else, probably, not myself.
I wouldn't say you tapped out. I'd say you were redirected.
Potentially. I think now that I can reflect on it, there was a lot of stuff going on, and there always is when someone makes a decision. I guess I genuinely thought, like, you've kind of done business, not about an arrogant, I've completed it. I'd got to a very high level for me, for a female in that space. You're talking, 6-7 years ago? Director female in the boardroom with these lads and these men. It was daunting. It was terrifying. I held my own, but I kind of just thought, well, what's next then? And to be honest, managing director roles were offered and CEO roles were offered because that just felt like if you look at my line on paper, that was just what was next. And I guess I just stopped to your point and went, actually, before I take what feels like is just next, getting kind of pushed into it, do you want to do what's next? Have you already done the last next? Have I done it? And I think I decided I'd done it because I wasn't fulfilled anymore.
I knew this was going to be a deep conversation. No, I knew from the moment I chose that I wanted to do this podcast, I knew I was going to ask you to do it because I knew what you would bring to the table. So just summarizing what you've just said there, you started from the ground up.
In business, yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, you've done your education, which is going to be the next question. You've done ground level employee, run of the mill, absolutely, and you've worked the ranks in there to director level, which is very senior.
Yeah,
which is very senior. So you're taking home major money now. Your life is set.
Zero worries.
As an employee, though.
Yeah.
And when people say at that time,
clock.
Yeah. 9 till 5, right? Which in all honesty, what is a 9 till 5 at director level?
Didn't exist.
Yeah.
Didn't exist. Your phone didn't go down. This didn't switch off. partner got zero time. Sunday was horrendous. Yeah, it bled into it. There wasn't one
Yeah.
fluidity, and that was expected as well. So I think
Yeah.
when you get that cash or that package or whatever it is, which is obviously what you strive for, your timings, your boundaries, they're you can try and set them. They're not
Doesn't
expected.
exist because the company is always
Yeah.
coming down on you.
And
Essentially
actually, there's a
taking
part of me that was like, yeah, I'm super important. If you think about it, I'm not going to be like, yeah, and I was dragged through it. That was my choice, right?
Mm.
Because for a point in my life, I absolutely loved being so important. Like, I'm not going to lie about it. There was maybe something super egotistical about it. Ali on her own, a dog on her own, 35-year-old woman. Look where I've got. I'm independent. I've got a flat of my own. Oh my God, my gate's open. I've got an underground car park and a Mercedes.
Mm.
Honestly, I don't throw shade on that because actually that fulfilled me like at the time.
Mm.
I'm not going to say, I didn't enjoy any part of it. Of course I did. But that just expired. It just expired. I just didn't. Stuff just started to shift. Values just started to shift away a little bit. And I think that was the turning point is when you start thinking, actually, what does worth mean?
Mm.
It's an interesting question to ask yourself. Are you doing it for the right or the same drivers anymore? And I wasn't.
Mm.
And then I'm just a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in these rooms and I used to say, Mark, this, you'll laugh. I'd be sitting in these big, massive boardrooms or these huge 300-room presentations, right? I'm that guy that's got these talking plaques, right? You know,
You're
when
the
you see
girl. The girl.
Aye, woo.
Yeah.
But you see the presidents and they've got these things you can't see. And it's a moving thing.
Teleprompters.
Mate, I am doing it, right? And I think back to that and think that's really proud. But I'm doing this room and I'm chatting. And I remember thinking to myself, I lifted out and went, you don't care what you're saying. You don't. And it was a really surreal moment. And I went, oh, you're out looking down going, you're not bothered what they say back. You're not bothered if you smash this. And I think when you lose wanting every time to deliver your best, something's just needing asked behind the scenes. Because every other day before that, I was like, right, go in, send it. No matter what happens, what time of night it is, doesn't matter. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Started looking at myself going, you don't care what the answer is. You don't care if he challenges you. You don't care if you look good with your answer. You don't care if you present well. That's a problem.
Could you check out?
Something. So you said I didn't tap out. Interestingly, maybe I didn't tap out of and making the decision, but I was tapping out in these little moments. I knew I was.
Mm.
I was like, ooh, that's a noisy one. That's an allergic reaction I was having to myself.
We'll get onto that. Because I honestly, I know we're going to have a conversation. I know it's going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
So just go back right to the beginning.
Mm.
How important was education in your success? Or how important do you deem education and in success in general? So I want to say people out there would think that you can only be successful in business, but there's different types of success.
For sure.
So there's success in employment and you're kind of borderline because you've been employed and now you're going into self-employment with something else that we'll go on to later. But how important do you think in general success plays? What part do you think education plays in success in general?
Look, I'm really old school. And I think that obviously my optic comes from my experience. And I think and it depends on what level of education you're talking about. For me, my route was I first honours degree in marketing and business. That was what I did. So I did the school and then I did 4 years at uni. And I think, again, only on reflection, look, the degree that you get and the piece of paper and whether it says geography or media or whatever the degree is, that's the less relevant part. What it does show anyone looking at you, if that's the path and you want to work for the man or whoever it is that you're learned. You can apply yourself. You do the do, even though you don't want to. You can be organized and prioritize and you can work hard. But I think for myself, I really value it. I still do. And if I'm honest, I'm 43, right? And I look at some of these brilliant people on the phones and the socials and the entrepreneurs, and I do look and envy them. But I rely on the skills I learned from educating myself now. And I rely on the characteristics and the kind of mindset that going to somewhere I didn't want to go most days, doing what I didn't really want to do, getting grades I didn't think were good enough or I deserved, and digging in. I still value that now. So me personally, it got me into the business role because that was the piece of paper in my ticket because they went, oh, she's a first class grad. But underneath the first class grad of marketing was someone who had to work hard when they didn't really want to. So I think education for me underpinned everything I did for the next 15 years. It did. It just taught me to show up. It taught me that if I didn't want to do it, it doesn't matter. If you want to get somewhere, there's stuff in front of you in your path that you might not love and you'll be hating and love some of it. But get it done. You got to
Yeah.
get it done. And I valued the paperwork. I really did. At that time, again, you're talking, this is like 2001, I was in uni. It was just what you did.
Mm.
But even now, I promise you, I'd probably still go the same route. Because I do value what I took from that 4
That's
years.
mad that we're the same age.
Oh, actually.
Yeah. 40, I'm 44 this year.
We're also November babies, right? I feel like
I'm December.
Oh, just right. Okay.
December. So I'm the better side.
Debatable.
Are you Sagittarius?
I am, yeah.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
So
Are
you're the
you?
fake one. Yeah, I am. But I'm the real one.
Whatever you need to tell yourself to fucking get you
No.
do you.
So yeah, so you think you place value on it?
I do. I still
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Is that more because it shows that you have the ability to learn? Or because so
It shows you can stick something out, because I'll be honest, year 1 in uni is a bit of a dose. It's
Yeah.
novel, it's cool. Year 2 is where you're like, oh, I've actually got to do, like, I've got to write stuff and I've got to read, and I actually can't skip. Well, some people can't do it in the course. Look, I value it because it teaches you to you just got to get it done.
Mm.
And actually, if you've put your mind to that, or that's what you've gone to do, that's just what you do. It sounds silly to say it's not simplistic like that, but it's black and white.
Yeah.
You choose a degree.
Mm-hmm. Shows you can
I
finish
didn't
it.
have options,
Yeah.
because the one thing I will say is, kind of, the system I lived in was a very strict Scottish father from a lovely, lovely home. We were functional. They've been married now 55 years. And asked the boy, my dad is like, my dad's called Henners, right? You don't mess with him, right? And even now, I don't play games. I don't say shut up. I don't boo to goose him. He is the boss.
Exactly where you get it from.
Whoa, mate, when you are like 16, one of 3, the only girl, you're going to uni. And you're staying there. So there's a part of the path that was not really decided for me.
Like
but
an Indian
actually, I
family.
think I would probably, with a hunger, I think I would probably have done it anyway. I think I probably would have done it anyway.
Exactly like an Indian family.
Woo.
You're literally just told this is what you got to do. That's it. So I remember
Still
when.
now.
Oh.
And it's not even a forced respect. I love, like, that's what he needs, and I'll give it to him. But my whole life.
Yeah.
Oof.
I remember when I was at school, and I've been a terrible learner from day one. I've never to this day read a book. In my life, I've read half a book. That was maybe 2 years ago, a year ago. I can't.
Is that attention? What's that?
Just can't be bothered. Like I remember once my mum was giving me a book, A Tale of Two Cities, and I fell asleep. I had the best night's sleep because I must have just read 3 lines.
Yeah.
I just remember the following morning, my mum was like, "But how much did you read?" And I was like, "Well, I remember the first line." And as the book's on my chest, as I've woken up, it literally still is chapter 1 page. But the education isn't for everybody.
Exactly.
And that's why I want that question. And that's why I always put that question first, because although I am educated, I ended up going to university. No matter how hard it was for my family to get me there, I did get my degree. Yeah. But honestly, I kind of don't think I needed it.
And that's
down to the individual.
Of course it is. But it's also, I think the thing is, I will always say context is really important. I lived in the smallest town in Scotland, right? I wasn't from these big cities where there was just, my eyes were open and there was, like, again, you're talking, I'm 43, so I'm 1990s kid at school. Scotland was dull. Like, I love it, but it's dull.
Yeah.
And the town I lived in was small. There was no excitement. There was nothing else to do. So it didn't feel like the choices were so plentiful that I was choosing the uni one. That was, I promise you, my entire friendship group, that's just what you did.
Yeah.
It was like, there wasn't anything. If I think back to going, like, what are you going to do then? There was none of, there wasn't the level of options or distraction or I could. It was almost written. It was
the route. You're right.
The context matters because but the question was, do I value it 100%? But in this context now, do I think everyone needs to do it? Absolutely not. But you're talking rewind.
Yeah.
I didn't have the options that are
different era.
100%.
Different era.
Totally different era. And my demographic was 65-year-old grannies living in my town. So what am I going to do? I want to fly away. Glasgow City Centre to do uni. That's exciting. So context matters, I think, in that question.
Okay. So now I would deem you as a successful person.
Okay.
What's one trait that you think that you've got that makes you a success? And I'll give you my thing as well after, because I think I know what makes you a success.
I have a horrible inability to accept average.
Yeah.
I have a disgusting intolerance for a lack of effort or a lack of potential being reached or a lack of capability. I can't. I've got a hunger for better, whether that's a better margin at the bottom line, whether that's a better product at the end of the day, whether that's a better person coming out of the gym, whether that's a better husband in my fucking kitchen doing the better. I've got a hunger for better. I think that's it. I think I do. Like it's
That's
horrible.
no, that's
Like, and it's troubling.
that is exactly what I was just about to say.
Mm,
So I actually think that me and you get along, and although I know we clash as well, but that's because I think we're very similar.
probably.
But I think that is because we have that. I can't come second. Oh no! Why is that
If
bottle over
I'm
there?
gonna do it, you're gonna. I'm in.
You're
And
gonna
do you
do
know
it
what
one.
else it
You're gonna
is?
do it one way or another because I'm gonna do it. So you either choose to come along,
Yeah.
or you're gonna
Yeah.
get dropped. But you're gonna come along because I want you to
Yeah.
come along.
And do you know what's funny about that is in this new online coaching and fitness and the kind of habit, lifestyle stuff, where that's manifesting now is like I've kind of shifted it. I think that's when I like came out of the business role because I'd stopped wanting that for myself. And when I'm coaching and working with these unreal people, I almost want it more than they do because I can see it's there.
Yeah.
So the flip of that kind of superpower or whatever you want to call it is I can I'll extract it out of you and you don't even know it's there. I
Yeah.
can see it. So we talk sometimes about business and gyms and margin. I can read it because I'm fluent in. It sounds stupid. Mark always says, Ali, you must be lonely because your brain's so weird. Like if you ever want like what my brain does, I'm up at 3 a.m. writing notes out my bed, bro. Like it's bad. But I think that's part of this lonely space I live in as well. I used to say to Mark, I feel so lonely. I'm frustrated. The language I talk, I don't feel that people understand me.
Mm.
My mum has always said she is built so differently. Mark will ask her all the time. But I think it's only with age and different things that you do, you go, you are built a little bit differently. And I used to be a bit like, I used to feel arrogant saying that because
Mm.
to some, it might sound like, well, all right, it's not meant to be better, different, elitist. That's how I feel.
Mm.
My brain's never quiet. I'm always looking at the posters on this wall going, well, that doesn't tell the story, Amar. You need to put that one there. I'll walk past billboards and go, well, that's a stupid strap line. You should have said that.
Yeah.
Mark, why? My brain looks at a situation and wants more out of it.
You're messing with my camera. You're getting your
Do
hand
you
in
know
my
what
angle.
I'm saying? I
Yeah.
have got an inability to accept mediocre.
Average. No,
Yes,
no.
for
Say shit.
everybody.
Say
No,
shit.
I'm not going to swear. For everybody,
I'll,
and I
I'll
think
say
it's
shit.
horrible. But it's it's double edged, right? That
Yeah.
goes into and then you got to kind of tame that because some people are like, "Whoa, that's a lot in it." Yeah, it
Mm.
is. So you kind of got to there. But then there's where I'd say being a leader in business or a director, you've got teams of 45 people and you've got hard ass Dave over there, timid but brilliant Sabrina in here. These need very different things from you, and you cannot be one dimensional. So I think that's the bit that you take from the business world and put in this world because people's motivation points need different extraction techniques
Yeah.
to do it. So yeah, I think I've just got an annoying and intolerance to just want more from everything.
So when you used to look at employing people, and obviously you would have employed a lot over your
Yeah.
time in the corporate world, which is essentially kind of like the real world as well now.
Yeah.
What was you looking for in the people? Like, were you looking for a certain characteristic trait? Were you looking for, a certain look?
Yeah.
What were you looking for when you were employing people?
So this, I think you might relate, but maybe this is offensive. I'm quite offensive anyway, but the first thing I looked at was how you showed up. And
Mm.
you can say, well, that's a bit superficial, or you can't judge someone by the cover. No, that's cool. But you can look at the book and you still make a bit of an assumption by
Of
the
course.
cover. And my view on that isn't because I wanted them to wear a certain color or a certain hairstyle or a lip or whatever. It was because I wanted to know that you'd shown up for yourself that day. So if you have not done the beard, if you've not done that hair, if you haven't got that tie, the cufflinks, the shoes, if you not shined them, while that doesn't reflect your competence or ability, we'll get to that. Shiny hair. I do believe it shows a level of respect and integrity that you wanted to come in here to the director of this business that you're going to work for, and you wanted me to see that first.
Absolutely.
And I'm probably not apologetic for the idea that that travels with me even now. My view. Now, I'm saying that's probably not a very nice one because, Ali, well, some people are great and they've got scruffy hair. They are. But for me, in business, when it's about giving them no distractions and getting to business, you don't have scruffy hair.
Mm.
It's in place because I don't want to be I don't want to be looking at it when we're talking down here. It's a mess. I don't want to see you dirty nail. So I start with how have you shown up, not what I expect you to look like. And then a lot of my traits were around like hunger energy. You could in corporate, right? You can teach them the systems and the computers and the sales techniques and how to, sell things or close pitches, whatever. But I think that if you're not an impactful person or a energetic, hungry individual, you've lost the room anyway. So the first thing I looked at was probably energy and and the kind of first 2 minutes of what are you asking me and how are you showing yourself? And then you get into the technician of them and show me a time when. But principally, I would do it on aesthetics, but not
Mm,
for the reason you think,
mm,
because I think it shows a lot about that person's integrity
absolutely.
inside. And then I would go down to traits that you can't teach. I can teach you most things. I
Mm.
can school you on systems. I can't school you on being energetic and hungry and passionate and infectious. So I'd look for that.
Such a good answer. And honestly, it's the truth. It's
I
absolute
can
truth.
teach the most people can learn most things if they've got 60% of the material and a good leader, you can learn most things. But if you are dull as dishwater, if you're not at it, if you're not charismatic, if you haven't got the hunger to want to connect, I can't teach you that.
Mm.
Or I'm going to spend too much of my time teaching you it, and we don't have time for that.
I always used to think, what do you bring to the team? So
What would we miss if you left?
if
What
you
you
left
Yeah.
now, exactly
Yeah.
that. So like the image that you're saying, absolute. So I dress 90% of the time now, t-shirts and shorts, but I've got something behind me to be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a point you can drift a little bit
Mm.
from the expected aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now like the youth, they look at social media, they'll see a man with a cap, a man with a woolly hat, and they turn up to work like that. But what they don't get is that this man he's worked for 20 years, he's
Yeah.
built up his credibility in order to do that.
He's a license to have.
Mm.
Yeah.
He can't just do that off the back of, okay, cool, I achieved one thing.
Mm.
He has major clout behind him.
Yeah.
And then the second thing you said is like, what do you bring to the team? And you're exactly right. You can teach someone how to use a system. You can teach someone how to
Yeah.
move something from here to there. But what you can't teach is energy.
Yeah.
What vibe are you going to bring? Are you going to come in every day and are you going to put a smile on everyone's face and lift them morale?
Yeah.
Or what are you going to do
What are
is
you like when it's the fan?
when shit hits the fan.
What are you going to
Exactly,
do?
yeah.
Because do I want you with me or not?
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting as well. But I think that doesn't come from testing their stress management, because in a 40-minute interview, you can't really test the stress management, but you can get a gauge for their attitude
Of course.
and what you think they would do.
And their reaction to questions.
100%.
So in like an interview, for example, if I was to ask you a question and I was interviewing you and the first thing you'd do is go, oh,
I know.
or you were to sigh.
Yeah.
I said, you're a no.
Yeah.
You're a no.
Yeah.
Or like, and it's not just about faking it because you'll get found out very quickly.
Yeah.
But the ability to want to be there,
That's it.
it's like energy.
It's an energy match, isn't it? I think it's like if and I think obviously again context, it depends on what job you're applying for, but fundamentally, if you show up and send and you look your part, you look your best, and then you show the hunger that you. I mean, this sounds really awful. I've had interview, and like you rightly say, over the years, I've hired and fired a lot of people, and and I shouldn't give this away. In like 30 seconds, if the 40-minute interview is going to be 5 minutes or 40.
Yeah.
And then you kind of feel bad and you go, oh, I'll give them 18 minutes because they're fucking showing up today. But and it's hard to articulate, but I think to crystallize it, it's aesthetically, have you impacted me because you've shown up and you want to look your part? And two, I also think it shows a little bit pride and you're not sloth like you want this. And have you given me the energy that I'm looking for? Because you're right. I don't need a technician because you're in here because your CV passed that technical test. I know you can do sums. I know you can do the fucking math. Don't need to worry about the paperwork. I'm feeling this because I've got to put you in amongst 40 people.
Yeah.
And you've got to bring something to that 40 people that I don't have already or I need more of.
It's like an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
First 3 to 5 seconds, you capture the person.
100%.
In the first minute, if you haven't engaged, game over.
But to your point on education, that piece of paper, the CV, that gets you in the door. But I haven't looking at that afterwards.
That's it.
Because you're in the door because we're physical. We're physical now. You know what I mean?
So in business, what's the biggest mistake you've made? And what's the worst trait that you think? And what's the worst trait that you think you've got?
Oh, I'm horribly impatient. I'm horribly impatient.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I never would have got that from you.
I tell you what, Mark.
I got that. Listen,
I'm intolerant.
I got that from you. Don't worry.
I'm really intolerant because but it goes, I think, again, you don't talk about this stuff, right? So you don't really unpack yourself and you don't kind of answer your own questions. But because I want more from everything and I can see that it's there, when someone comes in and they reach here, but I know you can reach there, I'm impatient at the gap. I'm intolerant of the gulf you've left.
Mm.
I'm not intolerant of you or your attitude or your chat. I'm intolerant because you should be here and you've come in here and you're better than that. So I'm in here mad because you've left this gulf. So my intolerance isn't at your behavior or it's actually at the fact that you fucking missed this when you just didn't. That's what my intolerance is, right?
You're so scary.
Right? So that's my intolerance. So I am unbelievably intolerant at mediocre. Like I can't accept it to the point where if you come to me and present a problem and 3 steps ago you caused the problem, you're not getting my answer. You need to learn about making better decisions before you get yourself into problems.
Yeah.
That's how bad I am.
Yeah. That's
My-
also how people learn.
Pray for my husband. Like he is a saint because I am so intolerant. But
Yeah.
you have exactly right.
That's how people learn. You can fix their problem for them. And this goes with life, to be fair.
Yeah.
You can, like, I'm a bit of a fixer. So I will always try and fix someone's
Yeah.
problem, especially if I've got love
Yeah.
for you. But that person doesn't learn.
The best thing you can do for them is be intolerant of where they've got to.
Yeah.
Because and it's not like berating them for it or making them feel stupid for it. It's you are better than where you've landed.
Hmm.
Suboptimal for you, mate.
Yeah.
You've got more skills, more energy, more experience to get to here. So I'm massively intolerant of stuff that's either left on tables or people not reaching potential. That's what I'm intolerant.
What's the biggest mistake you've made?
I mean, I've made some stinking financial ones. I've cost businesses a lot of money. What do you want? Those I've cost business a lot of money. So, but the mistake underpinning it was naivety
Yeah.
and uh, not paying my dues before I thought I was the big dog. So, biggest mistake I've made where there's been a physical, financial big impact of it was I won't divulge loads of it because it's kind of boring. But essentially, as a director of Aldi, what you're challenged to do is negotiate quite big contracts. So basically, Aldi operate where they've got 4 or 5 suppliers, and they are sourcing and giving you the supply for the whole of the country and Ireland. Long story short, I thought I could jump on the phone about 8 months in to the chief of a very big, very very big company. And I thought I would just be a massive dickhead and start playing his bluff on negotiating skills. I just come out of this negotiating course. And he obviously was long in the tooth, really experienced, super composed. And you've got this little idiot trying to prove herself to her bosses. So there was an element of what was I doing wrong? Trying to impress people, running too quickly. I haven't even walked yet. And I'm not respecting this guy. So there's that was what I was doing wrong. And then, long story short, ended up disrespecting him so bad that he pulled supply from Aldi UK and Ireland, which was like bollock central for me. Almost fireable. But because I was young and Aldi could see a little bit of potential, there was a forgiveness to the intentions were good, but your execution was poor. So the biggest mistake I made was naive, driving with myself with my inexperience, not respecting somebody in the industry who'd clearly paid his dues, and impressing the wrong people and just not having spent the time doing the groundwork first.
So how did you overcome that? Because if that's a big mistake
It was a stinker.
in the corporate, that's a big
Yeah,
mistake.
stinker. Yeah,
So
look, like massive black mark. Yeah,
the
yeah,
fact that they've seen something in you and thought, okay, cool, she's just lost
yeah.
us a whole supplier,
Yeah.
and we're still going to keep it. They must have seen something in you.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're like, okay, cool. What do I got to do now? Obviously, you got to prove yourself.
And do you know what's the funny thing about mistakes like that? And I always say, Mark's like, why aren't you stressed about that? Because unless the thing that you're stressed about is worse than this thing you've ever been stressed about, you can't really rise the stress levels to it. That was even now, like it haunts me now how terrifying like after that decision he made and the phone went down, the fear I felt, you never want to, you do me, if you are driven and hungry and want to impress and you never want to feel those feels again. Like it was so bad. So because it was so like traumatically terrible and I did it, my head went down. Like my head went down. I went to speak to a few what I could do differently. And it was just a dick move. It was just a dick move for me. And I just got my head down.
Yeah.
And you're right. They were like, look, you show us massive potential. And actually they said, look, they kind of laughed at it after a few days. saying, yeah, that's the kind of shit you do. Like that, we took, that's the risk we take with someone like you. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't have somebody who is super energetic, super driven and passionate, and they don't bring a little bit of trepidation and risk with them, because that hunger will drive certain behaviors that bring risk with them. And that's all I was doing. I was just doing it too soon. So yeah, I was lucky they didn't just march me out, to be honest. But yeah, don't don't run before you can walk. Pay your dues. And what's funny is, before I got to Aldi, I was in a Vectra driving around Edinburgh paying dues. Like, it wasn't like I didn't know how to do it, right?
Mm.
I'm in a car by myself, blooming Vauxhall, I don't even know what a Vectra is anymore. Sweets in the back, flogging them. Please, let me in. It wasn't like I didn't know how to pay dues and show respect. I just let myself get away with the title, bind to it, had an office and assistants. Like, you just don't let that.
Mm.
You're still
You have to stay
running
grounded.
ladders. Yeah, you're still on pegs. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite couple of weeks.
So now you've gone through the corporate world.
Yeah.
You have become successful at that point. You're a
Yeah.
big dog.
A-Dog was a bit,
No,
I was,
you're
yeah.
a big deal. At
At
that
that
point,
time
you're a
I
big
was,
deal.
yeah.
Yeah, there's not that many people that can say that they've
Mm.
become the director of them companies,
Mm.
buying director, whatever type of director. You then obviously go down this new path,
Mm.
irrespective of what happened in terms of the bullshit that came with it. Now you're looking at becoming self-employed. How difficult is that?
Very,
Okay.
very. Night and day.
As an employee, because that's obviously what you were, no matter how senior you are,
Yeah.
there's a very big difference between working for and running a business. So put the online coaching to the side for a second,
Yeah.
because I know that's what you do, but I also know you're opening a gym, or you're trying to open a gym.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're starting from ground up again.
Yeah.
You're floor level.
Yeah.
Not got a building, not got no gym equipment. And I understand why you want to do it. How different is that?
Very, very, very. Because it's not that you're on your own doing it, but what you do when you're someone's employee, or you're working for someone, is you're executing their strategy. You're writing a bit of strategy on your own at the level I was at. So obviously I was the commercial director, so I was writing the strategy for the pricing and all that stuff. You're writing strategy, but you're writing it within the business's vision and where they want to go. So you're kind of always in the confines of, well, we expect you to write a strategy that takes us there. There's always an expectation of what you'll write on the paper. I'll write it and I'm in control of it. Over here, you're like, right, well, actually, I'm creating the brand. I'm writing the strategy. I'm deciding locate. You're the freedom of those choices is actually super overwhelming when you're jumping out of a space that you didn't have autonomy. You had a little bit of leadership autonomy, and yes, your team, but you were still just given a playbook, and you were. They wrote your plays, you executed them. You're writing plays over here, which you might not even know how to write. You're writing plays that you might not know will work. You're writing plays that don't work, and you got to come back and write them again. So I think the biggest difference is the bumpers are completely off. The vision is, I'm so crystal in what the vision is, and the hunger to get it off the ground is the same hunger that get executed these guys' plans. But you got to have a funnel and an ability to crystallize, right? What is the brand? What does it mean to people? What do you want it to mean to people? And then build that strategy. But it's quite overwhelming. And that's why I think business and education, you've got to problem solve. If you don't know how to problem solve and think through the right things, you can't really start your own business. You can't really do your own thing, because then every option's an option. Every option's a choice. If you can't break down where you want to be, who for, with what outcome to what results, you can't then write how that looks. And that's why I think business is critical, because that's how to set up for success. Anchors that then make, you can open a gym if you want, put some kit in it, but if you've got no reality on what the bottom line needs to be, how you break even, how you manage your costs, what the revenue needs to be, you kind of just bumble around with an idea.
See, I think, and I've studied business. So I've done it at GCSE, A level, then at university. And I think business is a great thing to learn, but no one ever actually goes back to basics.
No.
And I think 99% of the stuff that I learned at uni, I would never employ that in real life. In a corporate world, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when starting a business, what's if I was to say to you, what would be the first thing you would do when starting a business? Because I think this will be a fundamental difference between me and you.
100%. Because I'm so schooled in the
Mm.
paperwork or the groundwork. So for me, starting a business, I do talk about vision, for who. There's a plan on a page that I will write in my head,
Yeah.
as opposed to, do you know what? Not, and this is where it's like I'm probably moving more to, do you know what? Hustle, give it a go, and learn on the job, and move and dynamic and be agile. 100%. That's where I'm not strong yet,
Yeah.
because my agility was these walls. My
Mm.
dynamism was expected, but to this much.
Yeah.
My entrepreneurial skills were wanted, but they fucking weren't.
Mm.
And because I then had to rely on writing things on paper and anchor points and margin, I am probably too forensic to the business modeling
Corporate.
of it.
Essentially, it's
100%.
corporate.
100%. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I would say, rule number one, and I have started quite a few now. Rule number one for me now is write on a piece of paper, get a budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understand what sort of money you're playing with. How long is it going to take for you to get that money back?
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, business doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I can't get my money back in a
Yeah.
year, 2 years, 3 years, what am I going to live off?
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
But when I used to start things before, it was very much like, oh, that's a good idea, that. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
And because there was so much naivety from my side, it was just a matter of, I have to make that work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have. So when when I speak to people, I speak to yourself, and like you're going to this design and that design, and I'm just like, you're designing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
there's a big difference from like a corporate environment and how you're taught, or I don't want to say
It's
taught,
conditioning,
how
isn't
you're
it?
groomed.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
how
is.
you're
Yeah,
groomed.
it is.
Whereas like life's taught you one different thing, and I think you're real successful. And then life has taught me something different. And my
Yeah.
kind of thing is, well, just hurry up and do it.
Yeah.
Just figure it out.
Yeah.
Whereas yours is very much like, I've got to do this
Yeah.
in place. I've got to
Yeah.
get the vision. I've got
Yeah.
to get this.
Yeah.
I've got to get that. So how are you now struggling in starting up your business? Like, where are you struggling? Are you still going to do it?
We will look. We will still do it because that's the dream. Mark and I are built for this. I now realize, because the interim between corporate and my wellness business was a consulting business of my own. So I haven't just gone from like corporate to now training and PT and all that stuff. I did a bunch of I did 2 years probably where I freelanced and made a bunch of cash consulting for businesses, which kind of taught me about the fluidity of timelines, blah, blah. We will build this gym, not because I'm stubborn, but because that's what we're built for. We will build it because Mark and I believe now, from the experience of the last couple of years, that we have something between us, a service, a brand, an energy, of credibility we want to bring to the world. We want a name above a door somewhere. That's the dream. But what I'm learning is exactly what you've just said, is there is a sweet spot between the grooming and my conditioning of being, and I think it's risk aversity, because when you're dealing with other people's money, bro, you don't fuck about with it, because but you're always in the confines of, yes, you want me to be brave, but you also don't, because bravery means I'm going to take some. There's always a bravery comes with a cost or something, and they're
What
not
if?
comfortable. Yeah,
What if you lose
it
it?
goes, yeah, exactly, and it's
But
not
if
my
it's your
money to
own,
lose. Yeah,
if it's your own money, what if I lose it?
but I've got to be, so to answer your question, I've now got to be, I've got to learn or unpack or unpick how to be comfortable without the dependency of certainty on papers, because I'm not going to get that. And to answer your question, we've probably not been successful yet at opening doors, not because I'm crippled by or I'm paralyzed by paperwork or my old schooling, but actually, and I'm not going to say it's because of everyone else, people do bad things. And actually, one of the things I will say that I commend Mark and I for is, even though I'm a bit anal and risk averse, we took a big risk on one and we got 20 odd grand deep, and they did bad things. I'm not going to get into it. So that then went off the table. We've then just spent 6-7 months doing it again. We took a risk, we went for a unit, and they've just done another bad thing. So what I'm now quietly learning is, get to the bad people quicker, find them out quicker, because because I see the world through not a fair or appropriate lens. I don't think people do bad things because I don't do bad things. And I think if we're talking like this, well, then you're cool and we're bros and this is trust, right? No, people will F you over.
Mm.
So the lesson I'm having is, I would never lose the school that I'm from, because I think it grounds you in some serious anchors about budget management, cash profitability. I am schooled to be Mrs. Math, but I am learning to be a little bit more dynamic. But I'm also really bloody learning, and it's been the hardest learning I've had in the last 6-8 months. People don't want to help you. don't trust them. I know that sounds really bitter to come away with,
It's
but
not
my
at all.
last experience is I am too heart sleeve. Look what you're saying. Oh my God, we're going to do this. Oh, my landlord. People do bad things and they'll do them when you least expect them, and they do them when you wouldn't do them back. So you got to shift your lens. People aren't seeing the world the way that you would be. So that just because I wouldn't treat you that way doesn't mean they won't treat you that way.
That's because you're corporate.
Potentially.
So
Yeah.
in a corporate world, you have clout behind you.
Yeah.
You work for Audi. You're coming to me
Mm.
from Audi. You're coming to me from Holland and
Yeah.
Barrett. You're coming to
Yeah,
me
yeah.
from up here.
Mm.
When I found that when people know you're coming from here,
Mm.
doesn't matter what car you put up in,
Yeah.
doesn't matter how you look, if they get more money offered to them, they always look after their own pocket. So you have to be a little bit more, when you're self-employed, you have to be more clinical,
100%.
very cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's very dog eat dog.
Yeah.
And that's where the person's desire.
Yeah.
So that's where I would say to you, like, not did you push them enough? Did you show them that you wanted it enough? Did you show them don't fuck with me?
Probably not, because that was the space in the corporate world I wanted to get out of, because the higher you climb in corporate, the more of that guy you have to be. And that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm strong, I'm brave, I'm courageous, I'm frank, and I'm direct, and sometimes, significantly irritating. But I'm not a dick.
Mm.
So there's a difference.
Questionable.
I mean,
I'll ask Mark. No, I'm joking. No, you're
but
not.
do you know what? So that is an execution of somebody. But I am direct, I'm frank, I'm intolerant, but I'm not a dickhead.
Mm.
I won't treat you unfairly. I'm not inappropriate. So what I'm learning is, yes, I probably need to assert myself as that person, but I will never be that cowboy type do you over.
Yeah.
It goes against my grain to do it. But could I understand that this is the world I'm in and lean into it a little bit more? 100%. Because it screwed me over.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect it and I'm not used to it. And I think, do you know what you're saying is, I am corporate, but what happened to decency?
Mm.
I'm old school. What happened to fucking decency?
Morals.
Mate,
Principles.
right, I'm about 105 now.
Ethics.
So yes, I'm probably got my
It's
fucking tie on
real
still.
success. I should put on real people. Honestly, it
So I
literally doesn't
we're
exist
all
now.
here hustling. Don't shit on me though.
Mm.
And that's the bit that I can't swallow. Take my money, make me lose 20 grand. Fine, dickhead. I cannot close off the behavior that because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I think what I've got to learn is, Ali, people don't see the world through your lens, and they don't. They shouldn't.
Mm.
And you can only see the world through the lens I've got. I can only see it through my experience. I can only see it through the optic that I bring. But that doesn't mean that I can't, let those glasses come off when you're doing that. I'll turn mine up. Because I have got it. Because you can't be a direct, you can't sit in these boardrooms without having a bit of that abrasion that you need. But I think because I was so allergic to it in the corporate world, I probably don't detect it in the world I'm in now. But my God, it's getting me done, bro. I could have swung.
You just said an amazing. No, you just said a wicked thing. So only you can see the life through your eyes. In the same way, you can only see you through your eyes. So you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
You have the belief in you to do it, and you've got the drive in you to do it as well. Absolutely. But it's just about learning faster.
Yeah. There's a few more lessons I got to learn, and if you kind of the thing
That's
is
life.
right. But think about it: 20-year-old Aldog at Nestle in my little car didn't know Jack. So why would I think I could jump into a space of owning my own business and entrepreneurial skills and be the fucking boss? I'm going to learn it.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend the time. I'm getting a bit bored and a bit impatient about it. I'm not here sitting thinking I know it all because I was corporate. Serves me, doesn't serve me that much. Some of it I take with me in my tool bag, but this is a whole new thing for me. So I think it's every time I'm getting shit on, I take from it why I got shit on, or what could I have done to not get shit on. Now, some of that is might not fault, but I've learned from it. Others people just do bad shit sometimes, and you just got to park that and move on. But no, I definitely feel like there's like a street savvy that I'm having to get versus like a geek savvy.
Blinkers on.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important do you think a circle is when it comes to being successful?
It's a really good question, because I used to think, oh God, I've worked so hard on my friendships and these guys would ride or die for me and all that stuff. But as I'm moving through it, it gets smaller. And I tell you what else about a circle, right? This is really going to get too deep. I think your circle changes. I think it widens. I think it contracts. But actually, if I think about the circle that I used to have 5 years ago, there's one or two of them in the circle now, just because time and situations and life stages and all the madness. And the circle that is around me now, maybe it's because I've transitioned from like old business circle to new weird fitness circle or freer circle. But I used to think that the circle needs to be long term circle,
Mm.
20-year deep friends. But you can have nothing in common with them anymore, but you keep them and you don't need them. Get rid. I used to be really romantic about my circle, 20 years deep. No, if it doesn't work, it's not serving you. You're grown. Some people in our circle now have been in there a year. The circle isn't dictated to by time. It's dictated to by connection and by support and by belief in what you're doing. So I think it is important, but too big a circle, I'd question what you're actually getting from it or what they're getting from you, what they're taking from you. Mark and I's circle is super small. And there is definitely a selection of people that we would only call on. But yeah, we keep it small on purpose. The more that you give out to people, the more shit you can take. So we just keep it small. Keep it small.
What's the best advice you've received? What's the worst advice you've received?
This sounds stupid. The best advice I've received is never change.
Mm.
I don't think that's because like I'm the perfect, blueprint of a person. It's that what I say and what I do fits my personality and fits who I am and fits the energy that the world needs from me. This is the space I've found in the world, and my energy, I'll match it. So I never change. Was just no, don't change for anybody. The worst advice I've ever received, don't know. Wouldn't be able to recall that. Probably because I put it in the bin and never thought about it ever again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Worst advice, don't know.
Best advice is though, never change.
And I think okay, break that down. Be authentic. I
Yeah.
don't think it means don't change. I think what I took from it was be authentically you.
Be you.
Be authentic. Don't be somebody that you think you should be or that you think they want to see or you think you should say do. Because you got to live in that life. You got to live in that life. You got to live in that shell. You got to live in that energy that you think you've created.
You
Don't
can
create
only
a
be you can only be you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And
be
it sounds really
be you
simple to say,
unapologetically.
but it sounds really simple to say. But how many times are you talking to someone going, "Oh, you're intimidating me. I probably should say this," or how many times you've been on your socials, you're going, "Oh, what I should say is." You really allow that can be questioned quite a lot.
Of course.
And the more that you move out of certain spaces and into certain ones where you should have, could have, would have, that will impose on who you think you need to be. No, be authentic.
If you had to give your younger self advice, what would that be? Can I just say as well, the last few questions I've asked you, I've never seen you so quiet. I have actually don't think I've ever seen you think before you speak because you're so sharp.
Yeah, because they're big questions. These are
Yeah.
big questions.
So if you had to give
What
your
would my
younger self
younger
advice, what would it be? And I'm impressed that stumped you.
don't settle.
Yeah.
Do not. When you think it's enough, it's not. When you think you've achieved it, you haven't.
Mm.
When you think you've reached it, go again. Never stop being curious. Yeah, just don't settle.
So I've just put my phone down now because I've skipped a bunch of questions because not that they don't apply, but they're more based around running a successful business.
Yeah.
So that at the moment they don't apply to you.
Yeah.
But give it a few months, I know they're going to apply to you, so I'm going to get you back on anyway.
Cool.
So
You give me what you're basically saying is you've got a few months to open this fucking gym.
indirectly, I'm saying pull your fucking finger
I
out your
know,
ass
don't.
and let's go.
It's pulled out.
And take the advice that you've essentially just said is be the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You are a pit bull.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever come across a female that genuinely gives me so much shit in a loving way. You give me so much abuse in such a nice way. And I've been around some actual sharks, like women wise. But because in the manner in which you do it, that's why I think when I always speak to you about you opening the gym, I'm kind of shocked like it's not there yet. Because I'm like, well, are you holding back? What's stopping you? Like that's why I can never see that. What is stopping Ali from just saying, okay, cool? Because essentially all you need is a building. But you need the right building. You can't just have a building. You're
Yeah,
looking for the right building. But you just need a building that you can
I
make
know.
your vision come true in.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? And I think you have made me realize that, right, you can be a pit bull when it's someone else's money, when it's someone else's team, when it's someone else's decisions and their brands on it. This sounds like real deep shit. This is this is my stuff. It's my cash, it's my future, it's my everything's on the line here.
It's your dream.
It is.
And Mark's
And
dream.
Mark's. And this is the other thing is, I know we have a responsibility for each other's security and future proofing. So if I, with my impulsiveness, because trust me, mate, I am so fucking ready to do this. But there's a real, like, it's not a dichotomy going on of don't do it, you're scared, but do it because you're hungry. I got to bring them together because I am scared, but not because I can't make it work. Trust me, this the minute I find these things you've just said, we're flying because I know I can make a business work. I'm not worried about that. And I know that Mark is strong enough and I'm strong enough to make the brand and the proposition work. I can make the business work. We have something to sell. Tick, tick. The biggest thing I have trepidation around is the risk. And because I'm so schooled in not overthinking, but thinking and being strategic and making sure that every decision makes sense. And you can see it, it's probably crippling me a little in the
Mm.
pace at which I do things. But
Business
also,
business doesn't ever make sense. I'm a massive believer in that. So old company that I used to run, I've had one that's on the main high street in like a busy area, and I've had one that was literally a hidden office,
Mm.
middle of nowhere. So I had to think, okay, how do I get that noticed? I'm not noticed locally. So what did I do? I looked to the next town. You, you got to think different. So, and that was a commercial vehicle hire company. But what we did there was I got geographical numbers. So I'm in Coventry, but I got a 0121 number for Birmingham.
right,
I got a
okay, yeah, yeah,
01604 for Northampton. I got a
yeah.
01932 for Leamington. I had dummy offices, but they think they're dealing locally.
Hmm.
But in all honesty, so it's kind of like you are kind of tricking people, but you're not, because when they're on the phone, you're being honest. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
for
well,
sure.
I'm
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
Coventry,
yeah,
but you have an office. Google saying that you have an office in Birmingham, and you just be like, oh, that's just a number so it catches your area. But if you want the vehicle, you have to come to Coventry to
yeah,
collect it.
yeah.
So it didn't matter if I was noticed in Coventry
No,
because I was
you
pulling on the
created it.
UK.
Yeah, yeah,
I was pulling on the UK. So
yeah.
my advice to you there would be, all right, cool. You're nervous about doing it. It doesn't make sense necessarily, but it
But
doesn't
also,
need
when
to.
you're bitten a couple of the one thing I will say is, and look, if you'd spoken to me 18 months ago, mate, I went for this gym, I went for the, and I said to Mark, we're going for it, fuck it. But got the rent, got the contract, did it all, got an architect, did my walkthrough, got the equipment all, got the floor, went to the building, sized it up. So there's an element of, I, I was that guy before. I ran at this thing, right? I fucking ran at this thing. 8, 9 months later, going to go and pick up the keys, and it all fell through literally the day before. I think we told you about it. We'll go into it. And I promise you, the damage that has done to my not hunger, but my impulsiveness around this is massive.
Mhm.
So if you're asking me what it is and why am I stalling, it's not because I can't see it. It lives rent free in my fucking brain. I'm stalling because that was a bad one
Yeah.
in my head. So I had done everything right. I'd taken the risk. I'd put my money in front. I'd bought the equipment. I'd gone to the guy. I'd got the key, gone to the contracts, negotiated it all, got an architect, da da da. And then it fell through because of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's probably gone in more than I realize it has. And it's just put a bit of a barrier on the speed and the trust. Because, mate, we were going. We were going. I've got a storage unit right beside the fucking place because I was that committed. We had a house almost, like we were going. So it's really funny you say that. And it's a very clever observation because if you'd asked me 9, 10 months ago, I was in the middle of it. We were about to open in a week.
Mm.
That was a deep one. That was a blow. And it's probably, I'm probably letting it paralyze me more for the next effort. Probably.
Okay. Now I will take it deep then, because I learned something about you today or yesterday. And I would say to you that as an individual, if you get burnt by another person, that it hurts. It hurts. But I'm a big believer in, obviously, I'm a big believer in spirituality, and all that be it God or spirituality, and life hits and humans hits two different things.
Yeah.
And you've experienced something which a lot of people have experienced, and I've just learned this about you, but you've actually had life hit you. So just advice in general, I would say, okay, you've experienced actual pain. Like you've lost essentially the other half. Yeah, as in your brother. But and that's life hitting you. So you can overcome that and you can still be the pit bull that you are. So this is my question to you is, but when another person's done it in reality, how have you not just gone back and said, and this is completely different to this, to be fair, this has now become a conversation between me and you. How have you not just gone back and said, yeah, wait, life's hit me. I've lost my actual blood. You think you can affect me from achieving what I see in my mind, and I'm now just waiting for it to hold in my hand. You're stopping me from holding it in my hands. One of my favorite quotes is, if you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. And you've outright said, literally 20 minutes ago, you can see it in your mind, it lives rent-free in your head.
Yeah, it does.
But you're letting people now stop you from holding it in your hands. And you've also said within the past hour or so that, people can't affect you. You're bulletproof.
Yeah.
I actually believe you are bulletproof. Like as an individual, you're highly respected in this gym. Because at the moment we're doing obviously the podcast in the gym. You're highly respected in this environment. You're highly loved in this environment to the point where you don't even train here, but you walk in and everyone's embracing you. So that shows the love that you've got. So how are you letting a third person stop you from going forward? And this is where I'm going to set you a challenge. So before we do this again, after we do this again, the next time we do this, albeit 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, that's now going to be on you.
For sure.
Because one, I know you're a pit bull. You're an absolute dog. I can tell by how you train. That I can tell by the dedication you got. I can tell by the discipline you got. I can tell by how you carry yourself, the energy you bring to the table every day, the way you think, the way you come to me with ideas, the way you don't even come to me with ideas. You come to me and you say, Amar, you're going to do this because it's going to make your gym better. It's going to make your business better. And first, when you first used to say it, I was like, yo, who is this crazy lady telling me what to do? And then I learned about you, and then I spoke to you, and I was like, yo, she actually
the place
knows.
it comes from. And this is the funny thing is, right? And I appreciate all those words because it doesn't sink in. I think you just go about your life and the energy you give is just what you give. And if that's received well, then it is great. And it's funny because it's when I used to come, oh, you need to do this. I don't even take a minute to be like, oh, you might think that's rude. Because the place it came from was for you, man. It was for you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, well, you've not seen it. It comes from the best place, but it can be misinterpreted as.
No, I think if people misinterpret that, I think that is their own naivety.
Maybe.
You are never too successful to learn of somebody, albeit above or below you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you perceive that person to be. How would I have ever known anything about you if you never came to me and gave me the suggestions of
true.
putting a silly little protein packet on the counter, protein bars on the counter? Because from a different world, I'm not from that world. So am I that successful that I can't learn? And vice versa.
Yeah, true.
And that's it. We can call it there. That has been,
That is
honestly,
some deep-
we could have taken that so far.
I feel like
No,
to lie down.
we could have taken that so far. I've said to you already in person before we started this, and I'm going to say it again. The reason that I wanted you to come on is because you've been majorly successful in a corporate world. You are going to be majorly successful in a self-employed world. Like God willing, that it will happen for you soon. It will happen for you soon. It's on you though. It's on you though.
100.
But the main reason I wanted you on is, one, you're female. I haven't had a female on yet. Two, you bullied me into it. No. Two, as you know that children and making a good impression is important.
Yeah.
Having good role models for the younger generation, I think, is massive. Not everyone's going to have a business. Not everyone's made for business. Some people are going to go down the road that you're going to go down.
Okay.
But the example that you set genuinely, I see it firsthand day to day via your social media, via your work ethic here, and just how you carry yourself. For a young lady, like obviously, I've got a daughter, for a young lady to see someone as driven, as successful, as humble, as energetic as you, I think that's so, so important.
I appreciate
So,
that.
hand on heart, I
Yeah.
appreciate you giving me the time. I appreciate you even just coming to me with your problems and the fact that you trust me to do this with you.
No,
I
I
honestly,
appreciate it. It's been a blast.
absolutely
And
love it.
actually, if that is the takeout, inspiring any young female to just, be true to herself, find the values, wicked. I think
And
that's,
go.
yeah, I really appreciate that.
But don't do what Ali's done and don't let someone else beat you up.
Yeah. Yeah, back yourself. I always say to it, Mark, back ourselves, and it's a really ironic thing. Anyway,
Back
I'm
yourself.
going to be thinking about that all day
Yeah,
now. Thank
absolutely.
you. No, thank you, because
And
it's a thought provoker.
and Mark, just as usual, I love you more than I love Ali, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's true. Peace.
I'll see you later. That's it,
Fuck.
that's done.
That's a lot, isn't it?